Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining me here today as we get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books. I love talking about them. I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the Marvel fan site that has plot synopsis and character bios. So I'm very happy and sad at the same time. That's okay. I'm very happy because after searching for months, I finally found an original version, digital version, not the recolored, that even has the logo and everything. So I've been showing you a different version of the Thor issues. And I own all these issues. I own Walter Simonson's entire run. And it always bugged me that the version I was showing you didn't have the logo, didn't have anything. It was just the plain sight that looked just like this. So as you can see, the version I found, and this one also has been recolored, which is so annoying. I prefer the version that was originally released. I own all these issues, so every time I showed these, it just I didn't like the recolors of them. So if you can see, this goes back to your more traditional coloring here. So we are looking at Thor 365 from 1985, written and drawn by Walter Simonson. And we have one more issue after this where Walter Simonson, although he will thankfully continue on as a writer for a couple more issues, he will give up his artistic pen and pass it over to Sal Buscema, who is a very accomplished artist, but he's no Walt Simonson. So, here we go. And if you remember, Thor's a frog. So as you can see, I prefer this one, but to the other one, because the other one, if you can see, has been recolored. See? Uncolored, or originally colored, recolored. You may like the recolored version. It just doesn't go with the old school art. So I prefer this one. So we're gonna go with this one because it's the one I like. So I really wish I could go back and redo this entire Walt Simonson run, but I won't. So, all right, guess who's coming to dinner, or it's not easy being green. Far beneath the streets of New York City exists a series of mysterious tunnels where things are not always what they seem. This frog, for instance, is our hero, the mighty Thor. Everything else you need to know will fill in as we go along. So, I came seeking aid that would help the frogs of the Central Park Reservoir survive the concerted attack by the rats who seek to destroy them. You can see Thor jumping over the alligators or crocodiles. I don't think they've said which one's which. Instead, I find a being whose music hath charmed these savage beasts, and it hath charmed me in this form as well, until I can do is hop madly toward the piper. And here it tells you, all animal dialogue has been rendered in English for the benefit of our readers. So here we have our credits. Walt Simonson is the writer-artist. Superb. He's in my top 5. I'm a huge Jim Lee guy. Jim Lee was so impactful. I was a teenager when Jim Lee started, so I mean, I gravitated. Todd McFarlane just does not have the body of work. Todd McFarlane decided he'd rather make toys than comic books. So, you know, it's really hard because as much as I love Todd McFarlane, he just doesn't have the body of work. A lot of these image guys, except for Eric Larson has a huge body of work, and Rob Liefeld actually has a decent body of work. Um, but Mark Silvestri, Todd McFarlane, and even Jim Lee doesn't have that big a body of work when you think about it. He has X Men run, he has Punisher run. He did like 12 issues of Wildcats. Um, he did 12 issues of Batman, 6 issues of the Batman. Um, see, he's had, but for as long as he's been in comic books, he doesn't have anywhere near the body of work that Simonson has, that Frank Miller has, that John Byrne has. I think John Byrne has everybody beat on runs. So, all right. And John Workman is the letterer whom I love. So, the frog is the size of a football, and when he first entered the alley, he was dragging a pair of dead rats behind him. Come along, Froggy, and hop into the light where we can find out what sort of fellow you are. My alligators won't eat you. And then he pauses. Yet. These videos probably wouldn't be so long if I didn't ramble and go on these little excursions. I mean, here we are talking about this great work of Walter Simonson, and I paused to talk about Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane, and all the legs. So, all right. So the Thor frog, or as he's affectionately called, Throg. If I do not escape the thrall of this unearthly music, my friend above will die. Loki's magic has transformed me into a frog, but even Loki could not make me into an ordinary amphibian, and since I am jumping in the Piper's direction already, I must take the initiative as a true frog never could. And he hits the guy. The strength of Thor is my birthright, which no magic can completely suppress. Obviously, the Piper's strange powers resides within his instruments. Without it, his gift is nullified. And though I cannot use the flute myself, I can assure that he will use it no more. So, come back here, thief. I'll get you for this. Without my flute, I can't control the alligators. Here you can see Thor hopping away. He's like, excellent. On second thought, maybe I'd better break the record in the standing high jump right now. One last hop and I will have gained the access tunnels through which I entered. Success. But I must convince the now uncontrolled alligators to pursue me. And these rats I brought will serve as bait. You can see him tossing them. Not that they seem to need persuading. Perhaps alligators prefer a diet of frog. Just an FYI, I know there's a lot of urban legends about alligators in the New York sewers. Alligators cannot survive those New York winters for very long. They can survive temporarily the cold weather. They can't survive it for the seasons or the months that it lasts in New York. So, meanwhile, far above Thor, near the Central Park Reservoir, an army of rats slinks through the brush with hatred in their eyes and murder in their hearts. Keep it down back there. We don't want to let them frogs know we're coming. Then why don't you try shoving a garbage bag filled with rat poison across these roots? You think it's easy? Yeah. Well, maybe you should have died with the others who broke it into the park ranger's warehouse and swiped that stuff to begin with. Shut up, all of you. Can't you smell them? Up there on the jogging path, a bunch of frogs leaving the reservoir. They're trying to escape. Ratso, take half the boys and hit 'em. The rest of you, come with me. We're going to dump this stuff in the reservoir, and it'll be bye-bye frogs. And so the frogs come. Only if you can make it that far south side, and we're going to see that you don't. So here come the frogs. They're about to do battle with the rats. Hit the bags and break them. We're going to scatter that poison and save our reservoir. You know, it's kind of funny. You're gonna kill all these animals, and I don't mean these particular animals, but throw the rat poison into that, and you got raccoons and a bunch of other animals. And by the way, rat poison is called rat poison, but it kills everything. So terrible. I'm pretty sure it's illegal. It's terrible. If you're gonna get rid of rats, please don't use poison. Other animals eat the carcasses. They're gonna ingest the poison. Just you don't need to poison these animals. Okay, find other ways. Help this. This is already a fucked up planet, and things aren't going very well. Let's try to not add to the things. Just do what you can control, but try not to poison any animal. If you have to kill mice or anything, there's other non poisonous ways to kill them. And if you do poison them, please dispose of them in the freaking garbage. Don't throw it out there where an animal can consume them. So all right, so end a rant. Here we go. Frogs versus rats. So we're back at Asgard. And if you remember, Thor and Loki were about to Thor had disappeared. This obviously isn't Thor because he's a frog, but now real quick, I wanted to show you something. This is the recolored version. There are some things that the recolored version sort of did nice. Back in the day, you can see everybody here is red and then the two shades of yellow. So here they did break everybody up. So that part, I sort of agree with, but overall, we're still going to go with the original version. So, all right. So in Asgard, home of the mighty Norse gods, the great All-Thing is underway, as the citizens of the Golden Realm have gathered to select a new ruler to govern in Odin's stead, and the final player in the drama has just made his entrance, and Loki screams, "Thor, welcome Odinson, you have answered the third and final call of the All-Thing. Your pardon, lawgiver, for my lateness. As many here already know, I recently returned from Hell, where I suffered grievous wounds at Hela's hands." Check out my Walt Simonson playlist. I've covered every issue from the very beginning. I have these issues. I have a TikTok account. I think I showed every single one of these issues, the covers and stuff. I love Thor. It's my favorite Marvel superhero. So the Thor here continues. They continue to require attention from time to time. And how fare you now? The wounds of Hela are deep and slow to heal. I'm sure my stepbrother suffers more than we could imagine, though I am as anxious as any for us to proceed with the business at hand. Might I suggest a recess of a few days to give the mighty Thor time to recover from his ordeal? Compassion should surely be the hallmark of the All-Thing, where we honor our heroes and prepare a new future. You speak wisely, Loki. Free people of Asgard, hear me. I declare this All-Thing adjourned for 1 week. At the rising of the sun of the 8th day, we will begin our business anew, healed in body and spirit. My thanks, Loki. And Loki, you can see him here. Think nothing of it, Thor. Surely you would do as much for me. So, this is all, of course, a ruse. Loki really wants to know what's going on. I still cannot understand how my magic could have failed to affect Thor. I saw the transformation myself in the crystal of vision. And now Thor goes to join Heimdall and the Warriors 3, my bitterest enemies in this struggle for power. And I must be absolutely silent, for the slightest sound will be overheard by the accursed Heimdall, whose eyes and ears see and hear everything. Yet he seems preoccupied and dispatches the Warriors 3 as though on some errand of transcendent importance. Now he and Thor depart the amphitheater in the direction of the hall near the edge of the city. Perhaps they go to plot their strategy against me. How fortunate the lawgiver granted this recess, whereas I may recover from this misfortune and chart a new course of action to negate Thor's presence at the Althing. There was something uncanny in his timely appearance. I had best keep him under close observation that I might learn what went awry and take steps to rectify it. So, mischievous as always. I like this version of Loki. This anti-hero version on the TV show. Damn these Marvel movies. They take everything I love about comic books and just whatever. So, but stealth and cunning will be required to avoid attracting Heimdall's attention. Fortunately, Loki is well endowed with both. A simple spell shall suffice to provide me with a disguise to escape Heimdall's watchful senses. For who would pay attention to an ordinary fly? You can see here, he transforms into a little fly. You can see here that little speck. So, Heimdall, says Thor, for just a moment I thought, and you can see the fly going through. But perhaps I think too much already. Are only the ordinary sounds of nature about. Come, Thor, please accept the hospitality of my simple home, and we shall see to your wounds. Thank you, I'm grateful. And so you can see the Loki fly here. I too am grateful, Heimdall. I visit you so rarely I feared you would shut me out. But few doors are quick enough to forestall clever Loki Lofi-son. Let us retire to my private chambers, Thor, and there we shall discuss all that is needed, or that is needful. But I think that we had best take precautions against being overheard, my lord. I will seal the doorway with my Uru sword. Should any creature great or small attempt to pass this barrier, the blade will hum, and I shall know that there are spies about. And of course, Fly Loki says, curses! So, but as Loki mutters over the injustice of fate, let us return now to Earth and to Central Park, for the battle being waged there is as fierce and deadly as any conflict between nations, and the outcome no less important to those whose lives and families are at stake. You know, I wonder what Walt Simonson was thinking when he had this story in mind, and he started drawing all these frogs and rats, and he's like, damn it. That can't, just, I wonder. So, all right. So, here we go. Rats against frogs, although I can't imagine it's not cats versus dogs. I mean, really? Rats fighting frogs? And so here are the alligators coming about. And so the alligators see the rats and they're like, food. So you can see them. Man, they went to the surface. Animal control would be all over. New York City, people seeing alligators. Right. On a small ridge overlooking the great lawn, a large frog watches the scene below impassively as he sees the fruits of his labors ripen before his eyes. Roar, rip, snarl. So, Not all the rats will be slain by the alligators, but the population should be diminished sufficiently to keep the frogs from harm for the present. I wonder if there might not be a way to safeguard their future home in some secure fashion. By the way, rats breed so quickly and so thoroughly that rats, even two rats, can have an infestation within a year. So, yeah, not too quickly. So, of course, we see the boot, and so we know who this is. And he grabs a rock and throws it, but Thor gets out of the way. The Piper's trying to get his flute back, and so back in Asgard, though I have been prevented from overhearing the conversation between Heimdall and Thor, the golden opportunity lies beneath my feet. Let the spell of silence surround me instantly, that Heimdall and his guests might not suspect the presence of Loki. Love it. Love this. Man, Simonson is so good. Excellent. No sound comes from Heimdall's chambers. For for of a sudden, I think I have discovered the answer. How simple, how devious, like the clever watchman of the Rainbow Bridge. And the answer is within my grasp. And you see him here. He's about to grab Mjolnir. A spear's hammer, a spurious Thor, and I, Loki, the crafty, was nearly undone by it. And Heimdall, if only you had turned your talents in an other direction, we could have conquered the 9 worlds together. But instead, you have delivered Asgard into my very hands. And this carefully wrought replica of Thor's Mjolnir is the key. So he puts in a spell. A virtually undetectable spell will make the kingdom mine. Footsteps behind me, they return. So you can see here these twinkles. He's put in a spell. How fortunate that Loki asked for this recess when we ourselves would have made the same request. We need time, Harkin. Time to find the mighty Thor before it's too late. And if Loki is confused for the moment, so much the better for us. Harrican, of course, the very same who Thor did once impersonate, except for the color of their hair. The twos are like 2 peas in a pod. The game is mine. Heimdall? Once again, I am assailed by the sense of a menace, but I can see and hear nothing that is false. Let us close these windows and consider our next strategy, or stratagem. So the Piper says, I love kind of how the perspective he's very ingenious. But the Piper wanted to get his pipe back, and so here come the alligators. And Piper says that he likes the frogs, and so he's gonna take the alligators with him back to the sewers, and the rats are gonna go with him. So Thor and the frogs are victorious. And so I'm not gonna read all this. Basically, here, he says that the frogs have won, and this guy says that Thor should rule with them. He should marry the queen, and of course the queen's like, yeah. And so you love this. Thor says he cannot. That I love this part. Lady Queen, you do me a great honor. But he says he can't. But that if she rules them wisely, and give them their trust. So And so you look at her, she's just crushed. So Thor's away. Puddlegup is here. Puddlegup says that he knows who he is. I doubt it, but that's okay. He says he knows who he is. And Thor really is big. And Thor leaves. He says, "Good luck, Thor." And um, we have the badass goats again. The goats are cool. The movie made them into jokes. It's just terrible. So, um, in the alley, not too far from the Avengers mansion on Fifth Avenue, sits Thor's great wagon, and his goats, Tooth Gnasher and Tooth Grinder, wait patiently for their master's return. How long shall we wait for the frog? As long as necessary. Sooner or later, he will seek us out. Do I hear him at last? Flip, plop, 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 plop. Welcome back, my lord. Tooth Grinder, you know me? Of course, Lord Thor. Even without an American Express card, one could hardly fail to recognize Thor, however his exterior has disguise. How may we serve you? I must return once again to Asgard, Tooth Gnasher. Only there can I obtain a remedy for this condition. Perhaps, noble Thor, should you consider your mystic mallet Mjolnir. I cannot wield Mjolnir as I am right now, but of course I had forgotten one of the hammer's most important gifts. Even now, the mystic letters appear before me. And so, this is going to be one of the coolest things. So, these rats are coming to have vengeance on Thor. Thor is going to get underneath the hammer, because remember, it's still the power of Thor. He's just in a different shape. And here come the rats. And he kind of lifts up the hammer a little bit. This is really cool. I know it may seem corny by 2024 standards, but I don't know. It's just enjoyable to see these comic books. And here come the rats, and Thor's just trying to go back, and he grabs Mjolnir. Father Odin, wherever you are, hear a warrior's plea and grant thy son his birthright. And boom, or crack-a-doom, as it says here. And we get the freaking Thor frog. Just awesome. Look at this. Look at this freaking amazing panel here. Just the Thor frog. How awesome. Look at that. Just so cool. So, out he goes, and so this is the drunk guy from before. He's like, that's it, this time I'm off the stuff for sure. So we get to the end of our issue. What do you call a 6'6" fighting mad bullfrog? So Thor 365 by Walter Simonson with letters by John Workman. This was a fun issue. So like and subscribe, and I do thank you for listening. Goodbye.